Good afternoon, South Africa. My name is Natasha Mazzone and I'm the DA's Chief Whip in Parliament. I'm also an ex-youth leader of the DP and an ex-youth leader of the DA. Today, I'm joined with some of the amazing young people that have gone through the DA Young Leaders Program. And we want to talk to you today about why this program is so important and how you can contribute meaningfully to your country at the moment. I think we can all agree that the COVID crisis has brought out the best in some people, but it's also brought out the worst in many people. And as young South Africans, we have to decide whether we are going to contribute meaningfully to society or whether we are going to be bystanders and just watch as life takes us by. I think personally, never before has this country needed more leaders to stand up and be counted than we do now in this COVID crisis that has shown that we do have a leadership problem in the country. The country is going through many hardships, and the country is going through an economic crisis, the likes of which we haven't seen for many, many years. Many young people feel helpless. They don't know where they'll get their jobs from. They don't know if they'll be going back to school. They don't know if they'll finish the school year. They don't know if there will be space for them at varsity. They don't know how they'll pay for varsity. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. In South Africa, the problems that young people face are very real, they are very deep, and they are up to us as fellow young South Africans to try and assist in every which way we possibly can. The DA has deliberately developed this program called the Young Leaders Program because we believe that you have to practice what you preach. So we like to say we grow our own timber. And certainly if you look in the benches of Parliament, in legislatures, in councils, and in many of the top NGOs and top companies in South Africa, you'll find people who have participated in the DA Young Leaders Program. It's an exciting time to be a young leader in South Africa because now more than ever, your voice can be heard and it can be heard really strongly. I know that sometimes as a young person, it doesn't feel like you have an outlet or you have this amazing idea, but you don't know how you can make this idea a reality. And that's part of what the Young Leaders Program does, is we try and help you conceptualize an idea and we try and help you make your dream a reality. It's very possible for us to turn South Africa around. I have complete hope in my nation. I'm sure many of you do too. And quite frankly, when I sit in Parliament and I see amazing young men and women who are going to take over the reins of leadership very soon, I'm completely at ease knowing that these young people are making sure our country is in good hands. So to just give you an explanation of what this program is, it's a part-time, year-long political leadership development program. So you will have an opportunity to develop yourself politically. It will teach you to think critically. It will teach you public speaking skills. It will teach you leadership skills, and it will teach you interpersonal skills because let's be honest, not everyone will agree with us all the time, and that's okay. And part of life is that we'll have to learn to disagree and how we disagree with each other. You will meet in retreats. There will be a mentorship program. So you will be appointed a mentor in your leadership course during the course of the year. And that mentor will assist you in many ways. There is a life coaching program that comes with it. There is a writing skills program, which is fantastic. And there will be a leadership project that you will take part in. And one of our young leaders today has a project that is especially close to our heart that she started as a young leader and has commenced going, well, she's taken it forward. And it's turned out to be one of the most important projects that we as South Africans see happening in our society today. I must emphasize so that you remember, applications are currently open, but they are only open until next week, Monday, the 14th of September. And you can apply by visiting www.youngleaders.org.za. Now, no one's here to listen to me. We're here to listen to the young leaders who have been through this program, who experience this program, and who live what they have learned on this program every single day. So let me explain to you who some of these fantastic young South Africans are with us today. We have Nicole Merkin. She is the founder of Fight Back South Africa. And Nicole has a very special place in my heart because I was her mentor and I was there when she founded Fight Back SA, and I know the love and dedication that went into it. We have Solly Malatsi, who is a fellow MP and a DA spokesperson. I have worked with Solly for many years. It's one of the greatest honors of my life to call Solly one of my best friends. And I think that he is a spokesperson par excellence who would give any media officer around the world a run for their money. We have Loyola Mapiti, who is the Democratic Alliance youth leader. Now, this young man does me proud every single day. Not a day goes by where I'm not thankful that Loyola is not the leader of the DA youth. I think he is inspirational in the work that he does, both within the party and within his community at large. And Loyola gives me great hope just watching the dedication and passion he has for South Africa. Hlanganani Gumbi, who's also one of my fellow MPs who sits with me in Parliament. I've known Hlanganani, I'm not going to say for how long, because that makes him look very young and me very old, but I've watched Hlanganani come through the ranks and I've watched him develop into a masterful debater. I've watched him become the most superb MP, someone that is looked up to in his community, someone who's looked up to in the DA, and someone who I'm just so joyful and thankful to share a bench in Parliament with. And then we have Bax and Doda. Now, Bax and me share a very special relationship. Bax and I are in Parliament together. Bax is, he's what I consider to be the very essence of a true young South African patriot. He is a young man who makes sure that dreams become reality, not only for himself, but for everyone in his community and in his surrounds. And Bax is like an absolute ray of sunshine. Wherever he goes, a smile follows him. And that's a sign of a real leader, because when times get tough, Bax gets fighting. And that's what we like to see. So guys, it's such a pleasure to be with you all today. And it's such a pleasure for me to introduce you and to try and explain to South Africa why I look up to you as young people. But you're going to be self-explanatory, and people are going to know just how amazing you are without me having to say so when they listen to you speak. So panelists, let's discuss a little bit about why South Africa is in a crisis. And Nicole, if I can start with you, we've just gone through Women's Month. As someone who was part of the Young Leaders Program and someone who now works in that specific field, where to from now? What do we do as young South Africans?
Thank you so much, Natasha, for that beautiful, beautiful introduction. You hold just as close a spot in my heart. And I think that the way forward right now is absolute and fierce commitment to the issue of gender-based violence, which is the scene that I have developed and found and grown within in the South African context. And I think that Women's Month just ended, and one of the first news reports following Women's Month was of a woman who went into a police station to register a case of domestic abuse. Now, this was reported by News 24 just the other day. While she was inside the police station reporting a case of domestic abuse, her husband walked into the police station and shot her, and she died on the scene. Now, I think anybody who's listening and who wants to make a difference in this country, you need to realize that even after 20,000 people gathered at Parliament last year to protest gender-based violence, even after spending an entire month where businesses, community members, and even national government to a very small degree was highlighting the dire need to fight and combat gender-based violence. And this is one of the first stories that we're seeing. So to all the young people that are listening, the way forward is fierce commitment to what you believe in, to what you know is going to change your communities, to what you know is going to bring growth, prosperity, and equality for everyone in South Africa.
Nicole, what you say is so important. And Loyola, let me lead you in as the leader of the National Federal Youth Leader of the Democratic Alliance. you haven't had it easy. You've had your share of controversy. You've had to walk a difficult path where sometimes you felt alone. I hope that I've been able to support you where I can, but a lot of being a leader is being a leader on your own. That's leadership, is that sometimes you do have to stand on your own, and there's not many people around you. My mom always used to say that the highest branches catch the most wind, and you being the national youth leader will know exactly what I'm speaking about. But Loyola, in your words, how do we continuously grow leaders as a country?
Thank you so much, Natasha, for that brilliant and beautiful introduction, and a very warm welcome to all my fellow panelists. I'm looking forward to a really engaging conversation. I think, Chief Whip, the one thing that is so important for me is always asking myself the question, what is the significance or the importance of the effort that makes us wake up every single day, that drives us, that drives the passion, that drives the need for us to see a difference and a change. And it's so exciting just to hear Nicole speak about, the fights that she's done in terms of gender-based violence, which is one of the biggest issues that we have in this country. Natasha, I think one of the most important things for me is to always remember that our power lies within our own hands, and we can be the captains of our own ships in deciding what this country needs to look like. And I think more than anything, as young people, that pressure and that that view of what we want South Africa to look like is about us, and we feel it deeply. And I think it becomes so important for young people to roll up their sleeves and say, this is my country. This is my country that I'm proud of. This is my country that I want to give into and grow. I don't want to be paying back the debt of the country 10 years from now. I want a country that is economically strong, a country that is socially aware of the challenges that it's dealing with, a country that is able to see each young person, whatever struggle that they might be in, whether it might be access to education, whether it might be access to transport that can take them to A and B. These are all of our concerns that matter deeply to us. And I think it is time. The time is now for us as young people to stand up, roll up our sleeves and say, this is our country, and we want to bring something substantial in growing South Africa and making it something worthwhile not only for our families or our kids, but our friends, people who come into the country. We want South Africa to be the pinnacle of Africa, and that is what we hold dear. And I think, when we speak about the Young Leaders Program, that's what it gave me. It gave me a sense that my voice does matter. My voice in this country heard, that I also have something important. And I think that is where the Young Leaders really culminates and brings different young people together to say that, it's an analogy of a plane where, you have a left wing and a right wing, and you want the left wing to work just as great as the right wing. And so you can have different ideas or different positions, but what we want is a plane that is able to be balanced and that can fly. And that's what the Young Leaders Program does, is to bring people with different views, different positions together to fly a plane and land it successfully, not only for just, figuratively for the country to succeed, but the understanding that our differences can come together and really bring something of meaning.
Loyola, I pray to the universe that one day you are the pilot of my plane, politically speaking, because you continuously inspire me. And what you've just said, it makes me want to go out and join a Young Leaders Program, even though I'm about 100 years too old for that. But I just can't tell you how wonderful it is for a young person and a young leader. You can inspire that kind of hope in me as an older person, and I just know what you do for young people. Solly, you're a young South African, but you've been around the block a few times. You hold two very senior positions in the party. You are the party's national spokesperson, and you're also counsel to the leader. What skills from the Young Leaders Program do you think that you took out most strongly and help you every day in this mammoth task that you have?
Thanks, Tesh, and to all my wonderful colleagues. It's all nice to connect to all of you. I think for me, there were two key aspects of the Young Leaders Program. One was, it unlocked the passion that I had, but wasn't accompanied by the confidence for public speaking. And I know many of my colleagues now will dispute that, but my first speech at the second retreat of the Young Leaders Program, it was a 2-minute speech, but it felt like the longest speech of my life because there was no structure, there was no confidence. So from that, I invested a lot into that. And secondly was the idea that you can only become a better leader if you strive to be a better person. So it starts with you, and you have to make the personal investment towards your own personal development. So one of the things that the Young Leaders Program inculcated at the time was access to a life coach, something that I was encountering for the first time. And as someone who was doing a postgraduate then and about to begin a professional life, I invested in that, because you enter into the space of leadership where you now have people that are relying on you to come up with ideas in terms of how do we handle the media? How do we handle these questions? So you got to invest in yourself so that you are a reliable and positive stream of that counsel and advice. And it's uncomfortable going on a journey of personal investment for your own development, because it makes you become aware of your shortcomings, and many people don't have the resilience to interrogate their shortcomings. But when you embark on that journey and you are aware of the strength that you bring on the table and the areas for development, you take criticism far better, because nobody can ever have perfection. We all strive for it, but you are never going to be right all the time. And when you operate in a team, you must always be mindful that there will be times and periods where other people have better ideas than you. The best thing you can do is to make sure that your preparation is so impeccable that your work ethic can never be questioned. What happens once that is done is in the hands of the universe. But if you are honest with yourself in terms of your ethical standing, your moral standing, your work ethic, and your preparation, the universe rewards hard work. The universe rewards honest people and hardworking people. So I think it is important also to have a good support structure. Politics often doesn't teach us to look after ourselves, because you have to be permanently available to the service of this bigger cause that we serve. But we are human, and we burn ourselves in service to this bigger cause that we are ultimately not able to serve fully, because we are not operating at our optimum best, simply because we are burned out. So for me, I know all of you who are my colleagues and know me very well know that, I'm obsessed with running because it provides me with that release that I need. But it is important to have a balanced approach to life and have a support structure, because when the going goes tough in politics, oh man, you're going to need that structure.
Solly, thank you. And, I'll never forget one day being in a very tough situation with Solly, and he said to me, if you produce excellence, they can never question you. And that's always stuck by me, Solly. And I think it's something that you strive for. And I think it's something that you give all our colleagues in the parliamentary caucus, is that you teach us about this excellence. I do want to say, I've always said to Solly, he has a love for running, but if Solly ever sees me running, he must run with me, because something is chasing us and wants to eat us. So he must run with me if he ever sees that happen. Bax, let me come to you. Bax, you're a first-time MP. You've got the most immense portfolio. You've got, you're the shadow, well, at the moment, you're the acting shadow minister of higher education. You were a councillor. You've had to transition into a life coming in as an MP, which makes us a lot like gypsies because we have two homes. Tell me about how you find the transition, how you find this immense leadership role, and how you balance it as a young person, because you literally carry such a weight on your shoulder because people look to you, especially because of your portfolio, and they need you to be the voice of young people. Tell me how you do it.
Thank you so much, Tash. Good afternoon to colleagues and good afternoon to young people that have tuned into this live. Tash, I think for me, it's one of the things that I learned the first time we went to Young Leaders. Why do you wake up every day and do what you do? I think that's basically what gives me the inspiration to wake up every morning and understand that I have to occupy the spaces that I've been elected in leadership to try and influence decision-making, to tangibly change people's lives for the better, not just by talking, but by acting in the spaces of parliament and acting in the communities based on the responsibility that you've been given. And secondly, I think the balance in parliament or in council for that matter, you need to be able to say to yourself, there are those people that have walked the road before me. And therefore, I must not come into the space and think I know it all. I must be willing to learn. I must be able to say I am wrong, exercise restraint when you need to, but you need to surge on and occupy the space when you have to as well. And I think that goes with what I've always had, going into leadership as well, which by the way was carved and shaped nicely when I went through the mentorship program and the Young Leaders program, something that I've never been exposed to as well, that I think helped me the most to frankly tell you where your shortcomings are and constantly remind you, why do you wake up every day to do what you do? And you've got a greater cause that you need to fight. Therefore, keep your vision intact, take initiative every day, be passionate, implement and act on the things that you believe will tangibly change people's lives for the better. And I can guarantee you the journey that you're going to walk will be satisfying to the purpose that you need to serve, but also it'll give you the courage to go on every single day. And I think those are some of the things that I constantly remind myself that when I wake up in the morning, I understand that there's somebody who's in Bizana, where I come from, in the communities of Alfred and Zor, who has never gotten an opportunity to get a good quality education, who very high chances are might end up there, be unemployed, be open to abuse, whether it's gender-based violence, whether it's child abuse, whatever the case may be. And what do I do in the spaces that I'm in to try and influence decision makers to make the right decisions to tangibly change those people's lives for the better? And I think that's how we navigate through the space. And that's what the Young Leaders program taught us. They ask us a question: why do you wake up every day to do what you do? And I think the answers are in everyday politics. You spoke about them earlier, about the challenges that we face. Young people getting poor quality education, some not knowing where they're going to go find funding, many being unemployed. And I think occupying such a massive portfolio, you are inspired by the genuine faces behind the stories of people being excluded, people not having funding, people not accessing higher education institutions, the conditions in TVETs. So those are the things that you wake up every day and think, I need to make something. I need to do something to tangibly change those spaces for the better. And I think that's what gives me inspiration to wake up every day and navigate through the space.
Bax, I'll never forget, Bax and I got a message from a young man who told us that he'd had to make the decision of if he was going to eat a meal that day or if he was going to pay for accommodation so that he could be near university. And I remember Bax and I sitting outside the parliamentary benches, just saying, how did it go so wrong? And I remember you, Bax, saying that if we don't fight for this young man, how many more people are going to suffer the same fate? So I want to say a personal thank you for the constant fight that you put on. Klanganani, let me come to you. You're a seasoned politician by now. You've been through the Young Leaders program. You've been an MPL in the KZN legislature. You have a very successful blog that you run as in your personal capacity. You're outspoken on a lot of issues. And I've seen a couple of photos that surely show that you had a good time when you were a young leader. tell me a bit about how you have fun while learning, because I know, you see, this is the program started in 2007. So I mean, I'm too old to have been on the Young Leaders program, but I know that you all had a good time while you were doing hard work too. So Klanganani, tell me about how you have a good time on this particular program while still learning, and bearing in mind that you're the Deputy Shadow Minister of Tourism. So you've had people who have literally had their livelihoods shut down completely by COVID. So you have been inundated with people whose lives have been destroyed. How did the Young Leaders program, while you had obviously a lot of fun, what lessons and what did you take away from the Young Leaders program that helped you when someone phoned you to tell you that their entire life's investment has just disappeared because their doors have been shut because of COVID? Because I know that thousands of people contacted you during the COVID pandemic. So talk me through how you dealt with that.
Oopsie, sorry. Thank you very much, Tash, and welcome to everybody who is listening. Now, I just want to say off the bat, first of all, that the Young Leaders program is probably the one program that I am most proud of, because of its effect entirely on the party. Now, and in my mind, what it really does, which is great and which will feed into the answer I'm going to give you, is that it's able to take your sense of purpose, what you're trying to achieve in the world. And it's saying in politics, come, here's an opportunity, jump in. Let's teach you the institutions, let's teach you the techniques, the strategies, the tactics, all the different things necessary in politics to achieve that kind of change. That doesn't mean that's the last part of learning. In fact, that's the base, that's the very ultimate beginning. And then it networks you into a party which is trying to bring people together to save a country and really do some magnificent things to change and to give a generation the opportunity to live their potential. So that for me is really great. And you can tell by all the young leaders who are in different parts of the party, different parts of society, really taking up those lessons and giving life to that ultimate sense of purpose. And the difficult thing always with being the last person out of all the great inputs from many of my colleagues is that I hope I don't repeat one thing, but the real one thing that I really found to me helped was definitely the coaching program. And as much as that was offered to me in the year, what I've actually done is that I've actually had a life coach since then. There was a short period in time where I didn't have a life coach, and then I invested in one. And the reason why I did that is that on the one hand, yes, you've got to balance your life, but if you really want to make the kind of impact and fulfill your own personal potential, you've got to be able to look after all the different aspects of your life. So we talk about, I had a great deal of fun on the Young Leaders program. I could tell you stories and we could go and have a drink or coffee or whatnot. And really, but out of that came huge bonds, friendships, and support systems, which are still with me today. And there's really those bonds which are almost there for life. And I can differ with people, and that's okay. And yes, you say I do a blog, and sometimes people differ with me, and I'm okay with that. As long as you're fulfilling a sense of purpose, as long as we come together in a party to all achieve something, and the greater part of that is saying that we all get what we're trying to come together for. We all get it. We might see it in different ways, but we're committed specifically to that. Then I think that, we're going to do it in South Africa. And I think that the young leaders who learn many of those traits are going to contribute significantly. And I can only encourage South Africans to really, they've got nothing to lose, ultimately. You really have nothing to lose. And you don't have to see it. If you don't make it, you try again next year. And the party, I think that in many parts of the country is trying to find different ways even to build on that. So that's my thoughts on it.
That's awesome, and I'm so glad you touched on the bonds, because that's what I wanted to encourage you. And I said I know you had a good time, because I know that you have deep friendships that you formed on your Young Leaders program, and I know that you lean on each other when times are tough. And then that's, without wanting to ask you directly, you answered that question, is that the networking, you have to play hard and work hard. That's life. And the Young Leaders program, in my opinion, teaches you exactly that. So guys, you might have seen me look to my right every now and then. And the reason is because we're getting live questions that are coming in from some of the people who are watching us today. And we've got one from Sylvan Fulmink, who makes a very interesting statement. The more you change, the more you stay the same. ANC and DA sing the same song every year in and every year out. SA is getting worse, not better. Why must I have faith in a government or future government? Prove South Africa wrong. Luyolo, how are you as the youth leader going to prove South Africa wrong?
Thank you, Chief, and thank you so much for the question that we've received. And I think the one thing that I would like to say to the person who posed the question is that it is not the cabinet that is going to change this country. It is not the president who's going to change this country. It is not the ANC that's going to change this country. It's ordinary South Africans that are going to rise up and stand up and say to each other that this is our country. This is South Africa that we believe can be better economically, can be better socially, can have the opportunities for young people to succeed in this country, can protect entry-level entrepreneurs, can protect startups and provide opportunities that can give them the necessary means to cultivate jobs in this economy. And it's those ordinary South Africans coming together, raising their voices together and saying enough is enough. We are no longer going to go down a downward spiral with a government that continues to fail us and continues to not hear us. And I think the Young Leaders program for me, Natasha, has really given me an opportunity to say that, you know what, I'm no longer looking for a savior to come and save me. As a young South African, I'm going to stand up and raise my hand and say, today is the day that I'm going to be part of the change that I've envisioned, that I'm going to be part of the change of seeing South Africa becoming great, not only great for, where I'm coming from in the Eastern Cape, where there are no roads or toilets, but that in those spaces, people can have hope again, because it's better to bring people together with hope than it is with fear. And I think that is the type of initiative that the Young Leaders program gives you, is to say that you are not an outlier in this process. You are not a spectator in a stadium. Get into the arena, roll up your sleeves, and you can make the change that you feel. And you can bring the opportunities and the hope back to South African communities, back into your street, back into your home. That's what we want, and that's what the Young Leaders program gives you. It empowers you to believe that you have all the power you need.
I love that. We are not spectators. We are part and parcel, and we are in the arena. I love that. I've got a question here from Prudence Ngapo Khanyane, who says, I've tried to apply for 2 years now. Hopefully the third year I will get in. Prudence, please continue trying. Do not be discouraged. You try and try and try. But in the interim, please remember, have a look at who's on this group. All of these people are available to young South Africans to be your mentors informally. If you'd like to contact one of us, our information is readily available. The information of DA MPs, MPLs, and councillors is readily available. So please make contact, get involved. We want you to be involved in any which way we can. You don't have to be a young leader to be successful. We are simply encouraging you to join this fantastic movement. But there are many people who are great parliamentarians, great councillors, great MPLs, great staff members who never went through the Young Leaders Program, but they got involved. So please don't be discouraged. Carry on trying, and if something goes wrong and you don't get onto the program, please make contact with the DA, and we will get you involved somewhere else and get you involved there. Then Bonga Jones has asked, hi Tash, do you have to be a DA member to be part of the program? Bonga, no, you don't. But obviously your values and your ideals must align with ours. Otherwise, you're going to feel pretty frustrated talking politics with a group of people who, if your ideology is completely different to ours. So you don't have to be a member, but obviously your ideology must match the DA's ideology. Prudence also says she's convinced that the young people are the ones to bring solutions. Absolutely. Look at the solutions that someone like Nicole Merkin is bringing through her NGO. Belinda Marianne says, get engagement from everyone. I'm in love with the DA. Well, Belinda, the DA is in love with South Africa, and that's why it's so important that young people apply for this particular program. And Belinda also asks, do you need any specific qualifications to apply? You don't. You will apply, you go through an interview process, but the idea is that what you need to learn, if you'd already learned it, you wouldn't be going through a DA Young Leaders program. So you're going to learn different things on the Young Leaders program. And I'm really excited about that. Panel, we're going to wrap up now because our time is almost over. But let's just remind the young South Africans who are watching us and South Africans in general who are watching us. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of the Young Leaders Program. So in closing, I want to remind South Africa who and what this panel is. Nicole Merkin, you are a champion fighter for women's rights, for the rights of all South Africans. You are an ex-young leader and you are the founder of Fight Back South Africa. Solly Malatsi MP, you are not only one of my best friends, you are an MP, you are the DA national spokesperson, and you are the counsel to the leader. You make us proud every day. Luyola Mapiti, you are the national youth leader of the Democratic Alliance. You are a member of parliament, and you are a fighter for all young people. Hlanganani Gumbi MP, you are one amazing human being. You are a debater par excellence, and you fought so hard to keep so many people's companies alive. You did us so proud. Baxen Dodda, you are an MP. You are a fighter for your community. You are a fighter for South Africa. You sit alongside the benches with me in Parliament, and you make South Africa and most especially the DA proud. This is the class of young leaders. This is what you can expect. Please go and apply. You're going to learn so much. I'm Natasha Mazzone. The time with you has been fantastic, and I look forward to seeing you when you all become young leaders yourself. Take care, South Africa, and stay safe.